I kind of missed the oop. Okay, now we're being recorded. I feel like the pressure's
now
on.
it's official,
So,
right?
Yeah, right. I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understood the question about, are we sort of thinking about other items for the agenda, other things people want to share, or I had a little follow-up that you and I had discussed about how can we get more funding, and I can sort of summarize that a little bit. And I guess I have an ask for, or I would like some input on that at some point. Maybe not now. I didn't understand what you were asking for in the agenda there.
The floor is open. So if you've got new research, collaboration opportunities, it sounds like is it funding for the conference or funding for this group? We'll take it all.
This group is essentially, or this effort, I would say. And Margaret, why don't you just chime in, as I think we talked about this, but I can't remember where in my sort of investigation we talked about it. This sort of the instigation was like, well, Gates Foundation did the Better Toilets thing. You know, what are they doing now? Or where is there that kind of money around from them or for others? And I poked into this because I was just like, wow, this is fascinating. And then I realized, oh my God, this is like really kind of outside of what I need to be spending time on as a worker bee in my part of the world, in my role. So, but I just wanted to share it and kind of get some input on maybe what to do. So it's called the, I don't know what it's called, goes back to 2011. There's a whole history on their website. I can send you all these notes with all these links. There's a 2013 PDF. So it goes back to 2011 with a 2013 PDF describing the grants. So I kind of broke this down into who are the people that are doing this, and then what is the effort and the related technologies that they really did. And finally, like what maybe would be something to do with this. So I guess overall, when I look at this, I don't know, is anybody else familiar with this? Like raise your hand, or this Gates Foundation Better Toilets thing. So I guess I'll prejudice you by saying they had big ambitions. They were going to, you know, as people in certain parts of the economy say, they're going to disrupt and you know, do everything big. So that was unsuccessful, as I read it. They had one big effort out of Sedro-Woolley, Washington, developed two products. They're both in the past, nothing commercialized, complicated. There was a one toilet version that didn't seem to have anything. Basically, they have a larger product that's more about combustion or less about combustion. Another product from Biomass Controls out of Connecticut, who do pyrolysis. They had a complicated combined heat and power thing. There was the Climate Foundation, which got some money and did some pyrolyzing toilets in Africa. And there's some interesting contacts there. And then there's been a final push by Georgia Tech circa 2021 to, quote unquote, assemble a portfolio of designs. The Generation 2 reinvented toilet. Demos are slated, and then showcase the technology to potential commercial manufacturers. This makes me crazy because that's kind of back to where they started, in my opinion. So that's my read on this whole thing, or interpretation as to what to do. I sort of, and you know, there were some interesting reports, and I guess one way to kind of think about this would be to talk to the people who are involved and see whether they would be tapped into the effort that's going on now, or Gates Foundation, and sort of track down some of these grantees and consider how or if to continue or reorient their work toward this, and therefore what funding to go for. Like that, the people who got this money are probably tapped into the places that you get this kind of money from. That's my theory. And so I guess that's, any thoughts on that so far? Because I have kind of one more thought after talking to a person who was fairly close to this Gates money, and her thoughts. Any responses, ideas, feedback so far?
I have an overall question. Did it have an environment or an environment that they were aiming for, like we do?
It seems to have been all the heck all over. So I'm looking here, biomass controls, did a mini combined heat and power thing for Gates's China event. And then biomass controls is also part of the Alaska Water and Sewer Challenge, which delivered a product in 2016. So you got China, you got Alaska, then you got Climate Foundation doing pyrolyzing toilets in Africa. And then you got Georgia Tech, and they have demonstrations slated for South Africa, India, China. And they're doing work in Georgia at the lab and a Swiss lab. So I don't get that there's a place in the world to which this is targeted.
Okay.
Or let's put it this way, there's been various places.
It seemed power centric, like needing a power grid, and that different thing, or not necessarily.
Not necessarily. I mean, the target price for the Georgia Tech people is $450. So that to me says not complicated, not fancy schmancy. A pyrolyzing unit, the way biomass controls does theirs, there might be on-site power, but basically once you get that process started, you don't need a lot of energy input.
Okay.
Yeah. Other thoughts, questions? And I have one more thing.
That's interesting because it's too bad Fatima's not on the call because she's with the Alaska Water Sewer Challenge. And I feel like if whatever that was had gotten momentum, we would have heard about it from her already.
Well, let's check in.
Yeah, I mean, certainly. Yeah, let's let's check in. I mean, you can put it in your notes or whatever, but it would be good to check in with her, see what her impression is.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep, I got it.
So one more thing. So my sister-in-law worked for the Program for Appropriate Technology in Health, which is a big ass NGO that does healthcare stuff. And she started, she worked there basically her whole career. And at some point they tied into this Gates Foundation money and grew a lot. And so she's sort of familiar with Gates Foundation. And she said, one of the first questions would be who would get the money. You have to have, I think Gates will be very concerned that you have to have good management for the money. And that's, when I look at the people who got the money, they're all pretty, these are not like little entrepreneurs in their garage. So who will get the money and the management of the money would be a concern. And she said, yes, it's a good idea to track down some of these grantees and consider how to maybe do things and to use those grantees to get, to be able to talk to the actual program people, because there's the directors and deputy directors and there's all this like blah blah on the internet, but make the connection to the program people via the grantees to find out what might be possible or where things are going.
Okay. And I don't know if Gates Foundation is located all around the world, but I know their headquarters is down the street, like literally from EPA. Like you could walk there. Or take our goofy little elevated transit thing and be there in a minute. So okay, well let's
then I'll pass it over to you. I'll pass it over to you. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
So I guess let's do this.
How do we want to do that? I mean, maybe it's best to, in terms of talking to people going sooner versus later, like some of the Georgia Tech folks, maybe, because they most recently have worked with the foundation. So finding out who Cedro really worked with, those staff could be long gone, but
yeah, that's all a while ago.
But the Georgia Tech folks, so
let's see. Then there was something Research Triangle Institute and Duke had something too. So I can't quite figure out whether that's associated with Georgia Tech or Research Triangle, whether that includes Georgia Tech. Research Triangle Institute is a big kind of NGO that does this kind of stuff. And so I think what I'd like to do with this is summarize it for interested people in our group and maybe be part of one more discussion and then pass it off to whoever wants to do this, because it's just too far from my own work that I need to do. I did it because it started to get really fascinating, and I love anything that is a waste to value kind of a strategy. And it seemed like, oh man, juicy money. But I think as I got to the end of my little research project here, I felt like I can't be the lead on this. So,
well, and you know who might be a good lead who loves to follow crumbs and meet people is Embry, and probably is right in her wheelhouse of consulting, needs to meet people and make connections. So we can pitch to her.
Okay, let me. I'll tell you what. Margaret, are you and Embry nominally the fearless leaders of this group?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I was like, hey, I need some friends, and I got referred to Embry, and then she and I both just, tried to meet everybody else. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
happy for other people to take other things on, and provide structure where I'm not. As you can see, I'm not the most structured, which is why we have Piper to keep things.
Let's do this. I'm going to email you and Embry this little summary and kind of suggest what I just suggested. And you maybe this is like a thing that you can put together another little. We can put together another little meeting of people that are interested in this particularly, and what to do about it. And which I
would say work it through, but I would also share once you've worked it through. I would share it with the whole group because you just never know who knows somebody, right?
I don't know how to do that, because do we do it via the website? Because it seems like, why would I put this working document with all these opinions on it on a public forum? You know what I mean?
Okay,
it's not a report. It's like
we'll work through that. We can work through it. I hear what your concern is. But also, you have a sister-in-law, right? Was it the sister-in-law that did something? Yeah. I have my daughter's friend, Robin's off camera, but she works with NREL and probably with Robin, low-level staffer, but offered the permafrost tunnel to her parents if they came up to Fairbanks. I'm like, who? Scooby Stacks? That happened right after our last meeting. I never heard of the permafrost tunnel, so I was researching it online when we were meeting. So you just never know whose connections you've got, right? Somebody from Georgia Tech. Now that's our way of finding the right people at Georgia Tech, right? If there's not another way.
There's lots of links, lots of names, lots of stuff here that you could decide what to do with.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for spending time outside on work hours, outside work.
Only because you're my friends.
That's right. Kira Towel, Robin.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I know her. She's with the materials group. That's awesome.
Yeah, she had just started when we had met a couple of years ago. And sounds like she's liking her work, and you're sending her around the world to talk about ice and learn about ice. And she's loving it. So yeah, it's fun to know somebody that works with you. Robin, do you have any cool new things that you've done? We haven't seen you or heard from you in a while. And then Jaime, we're going to talk to you as well. Tee you up.
Nothing on my end so far. Any kind of considerations for the Antarctic waste, I think, is kind of bubbling up, or maybe there can be some sidebar discussion. So people are interested in that, we can talk further, but nothing concrete.
Do you mean the Antarctic, the research station and waste management down there, or something else?
Yeah, sorry, my dog's barking, so it's a half communicated thought. At McMurdo and South Pole Station, the various stations, just thinking about kind of what happened in Greenland more recently, where they saw the most extensive melt they've ever had, and just their waste strategies there. What kind of thinking forward about what kind of precautions we could take for the Antarctica as well. That's the only recent thing that's kind of come up in discussions of mine.
I think this group would love to learn more and work with folks on that.
Yeah, to hear, because there has to be there's such well-used stations, there has to be a waste management process that works, right? And it's what you're saying in Greenland with the ice melt that has to be starting to be rethought about.
Yeah, or how they, how, I guess from my end, and I focus on environmental microorganisms, not necessarily waste treatment, but if there are tips on how to kind of gather more information, how people have been doing it, or review papers. And I know at one point I went down a rabbit hole of, multiple nations have stations in Antarctica, and well, how are they dealing with their waste, and sort of aggregating that information.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that. For some reason, I thought maybe there's one research station like the space shuttle or the space station. Everybody used.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, there's multiple ones. McMurdo is the primary one for the US. But yeah. Russia works
There's a
there.
neighborhood down there. Are they co-located? Like there's a neighborhood, or are they in?
No, not
Isolated.
necessarily. Yeah, like there's Palmer Station. Yeah, and I'm speaking as a non-expert of the stations in Antarctica, but yeah, there are multiple ones, and so just thinking about kind of waste treatment and climate change, and maybe the approaches that they've been taking, aren't how are they going to hold up? So those are just some of the things I've been thinking about, this is the group to discuss it with. So
All right, well, we'll put that on the agenda at some point, when you're available and ready to talk about it.
yeah, that would be great.
Simone was in Greenland last summer. She might have thoughts on.
As was Judith.
Yeah, I realize I'm new here, so nice to meet you all.
What were you doing in Greenland, Judith?
I was doing my PhD on water supply in the settlements with Pernille Jensen. She was my main supervisor. And I finished in February. Then I did a postdoc consultations with Greenland, with the government and representative for the villages to determine priorities for intervention in WASH. And they unanimously chose toilets. So now I'm putting together proposals to develop a new interface and treatments that would work there. So 2 different proposals, really. Yeah. So
And Simone, were you and Judith together or separately at Greenland?
we were together. We were at the summer school on Arctic WASH.
Yep.
Also with
Not
Fatima.
many people work in Greenland, so it's pretty cool. We've got 3 right here, and you're all in a row on my screen. Jaime,
Are you able to
ahead.
tell us what you're going to propose in the way of toilets for Greenland? That sounds exciting.
Yes, I mean, both of them would be collaborative projects with the population, so it will depend a lot on what they want. But one of them is to have a cleaner interface so that the users are not exposed as much. You know what it looks like over there, right? There's a bucket and a bag, and you just close the bag and you put it outside, and somebody empties it in the sea.
Pretty basic, similar to Western Alaska.
Yeah.
And so the idea would be develop the interface so that the users are not exposed as much, and the workers who have to collect things don't, instead of collecting a bag that might be pierced and so on, they can collect something easier. I'm thinking of separation because it's so much easier to manage and also to reuse, because everything pretty much can be turned into a resource. We could use the cold for freeze dry and see how far we can go with that. The 2 major cities in the country are heated with the waste from the rest of the country in incinerators. So I'm thinking maybe at least the solid part we could just freeze dry until it's combustible, and then send it with the rest of the solid waste that's going to be burned as a combustible for those 2 big towns. And then for the liquid, we could also freeze concentrate and turn it into fertilizer that could become a resource or not. We'll see. But that's the main beginning of the idea is that, and then we would develop it with people who would volunteer to take part. And then for the treatment, if we go for something other than separation and reuse as fertilizer, then I want to test digesters and compost and see how that could work and how long that would take and how big it would have to be feasible. But I'm in the development phase. I'm really writing, and I have to find which sources of funding I can find for this. So it could take a few years before I get started.
Have you seen the what Simone can correct me, the 3-mode commode design that the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium has, which separates the solids and liquids?
No, I haven't. I've seen the water wall that was developed by AIABAG and the Bill Gates Foundation.
Oh,
And it has separation, and then you have a water reuse in the back for hand washing. But yeah, no, not that one. 3 modes commodes, you said?
yeah.
I'll look that up. Is it in use already, or is it being developed?
It is in use. And part of what seems to be happening in Alaska, once again, Simone, correct me, is that the Alaska Water Sewer Challenge got further ahead on the liquid side, but hadn't come up with something for the solids, which is sort of where this group has mostly been focused for that reason. So yeah, and John Warner, of one of the main designers, has been in this group a lot. I'm not sure. Simone, do you know if he retired? He was threatened.
I don't know if he's retired. John Warren, yeah.
Warren, sorry, I always get them. But yeah, Judith, I'd be happy to send you the
Anything you have on the topic, I'm always happy to hear about. Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course you met Fatima in Greenland, Judith, and
Jaime, another Jaime. I don't know if he's in this group also. No.
Yeah.
yes.
Marty.
yeah, he
Yep.
is. He hasn't been on for a bit, I feel like.
I think he had a
last-
class conflict.
Mhm.
Yeah, class. He was on last meeting, right?
When his class gets out, he comes on.
How often do you
Ask
How-
again, Jake.
how often do you meet with this group?
Monthly, but not in the summer. So the
Yeah, I
next
think-
meeting will be in January. Yeah, please join us.
Send the information also about the March meeting, which I won't be attending in person, but I'd be very happy to follow online if that's possible.
Oh yeah,
we did.
yeah.
We did talk about that last time, that there's hopefully there'll be at least some of it can be remote. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
if I see any latest and greatest stuff from Fatima and the urine diverting toilet project, I can send that your way, as well as any of the stuff that we're starting in Kivalina. It's like working with a company that's doing a biochar project there, but I can pull anything together that might be of interest to
Yeah, sounds
you
great.
in the new year.
Thank you.
Yeah, Jaime Marti was on the design call last week, which was great. And
It's
And
been working
Judith-
with you
Judith,
there.
to see, were you on last month? No. Yeah, yes, you were.
This is my first meeting. I
It's
don't even know how
wonderful.
I got invited here, but I'm very happy to be here.
Welcome. There is, I will find the way to send you the IRPIC. We have, meeting materials that we've created over time, not necessarily agendas and meeting minutes from each meeting, but Dr. Marti has video from couple of different projects that might be interesting for you to
Yeah, that would be great.
to look at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll send those to you.
And then you're in contact with Penile, of course. You know, it's the whole
Mhm.
story.
Okay. On my list. Anything else bubbling up? You know, it's a busy season. People trying to get out of the office. We don't need to take the whole time.
yes, I love Alex's efforts to put some structure around some of the threads that I feel like are, sort of opportunities for this group that we haven't necessarily been able to do. One is ongoing coordination of research money, which is great, and then ongoing coordination of research efforts. I think both of those could use some structure that I'm not sure how to provide, and then sort of ongoing coordination of where research might need to go, so that we don't keep looking at the same thing in different places. I mean,
Can we
obviously,
talk about that briefly? So here's the funding idea that I got from our mid-October, November meeting rather, about stuff. And so what do we want to get money for is the other question, right? Like who and how, but what? So this is what I kind of heard or maybe thought. I don't remember whether I made this up or got this from you all or both. Expand the network. So there's like 5 things here. Do a good literature review. I guess it depends what we're researching, but do some analysis or some on the things that we want to research. Like for example, and then so that the third piece would be, okay, so expand the network, do a literature review. This is all in the notes. And then the research needs that I think I heard were cryobiology, thermal management, social factors, program design, and then finally, the fourth thing would be build pilots. So expand the network, do the research after having identified what you actually think you need to research, and then build the pilots. That would be the funding, what needed to be funding. And somebody said include travel. Any thoughts on that kind of agenda for what we want to get funded? And again, this is in my notes, so you can go ahead and have a whack at it when I send it, after I send it to Margaret and Ombre.
I think it's great. That's a nice organization that
Yeah, I think it distills what we've been talking about for 3 years really nicely. Thanks, Alex.
Just call me the scribe. I mean, I think I wrote this down from talking to people. Maybe it was Margaret, or maybe it was somebody else. I don't remember. Does that stuff sound familiar, Margaret, or did we talk about that as a group?
Like Piper said, it sounds familiar, but much better organized.
Yeah.
Okay.
After you said cryobiology,
Cryobiology, cold biology.
cryobiology. Okay, cryobiology. I got half of it. And then what, you had another item underneath that before social factors?
Yeah, cryobiology, thermal management, social factors, and program design, like evaluate other efforts. Who's done stuff? What is the lifetime of these projects? What failed? And there's this whole debate about charity funded and or subsidized projects. Do they fail disproportionately, or should this all be private sector? Like that's a whole discussion in itself. So program design, like evaluate how have these things worked out. And like I kind of take a dim view of the Gates thing, but if you did a sort of a third party evaluation, you might say, well, they did what I don't know, you'd have some evaluation. But I think it's important to evaluate programs and see whether they work or not.
Yep.
It is, and you're right. The idea that it's got to be a really hot business opportunity it seems unlikely to me. Like, just given the lack of a cash economy in certain places. But yeah, also having someone deposit a charity project doesn't seem like the sustainability is inherent there either. So yeah. That'd be awesome to have a good analysis of longevity of efforts. Wow.
I don't know that anything, maybe Dr. Jaime's project that we've seen up high, a couple of the bags, the digester bags he's shown. I can't remember how long they've been around, but not a decade. Is that less than a decade? Does that sound right?
Is now the time to put Jaime on the spot?
Hello to everybody.
Hello.
I think that it's a long time. Yes, we have been working on that since 2012. We met Jaime in 2008, so it's a long time that he has been working on that.
How long have they been in operation?
Let me think. I think that if you mean he has a digester that he called the Frankenstein.
Yeah.
This is from 2012, 2015. Yes.
So 11 years.
Yes, more or less.
do you have a anticipated life duration for it, or do you know which parts might fail first? And
No,
they're
no, no, I
something
have
that
no
can maybe be
idea.
kept up? Okay.
No, yeah, because it was an initial project that Jaime had, so I have no idea in this part. But one of the most difficult parts is the mechanical of the fluids, the feeding of the digester, because he's feeding it with solid wastes. So this is a gap that we have to improve this part.
So
I'll
has
just
that-
say that,
has-
I just say that one of the objections from a colleague of mine to bag type digesters is how do you empty them? Now, if you're talking about putting solids in them, it's even more of a question, like how often do they have to empty? Not just how often, how long do they last, or how well do they operate, but what's the turnaround on that? How does that work? So yeah, anyhow, that's one question I've had about bag type digesters. Don't need to get into it, but I'll add it to the kind of the list here of things to think about when looking at other efforts. And I'm also going to put a link in the chat here for these anti-aid people, B Energy, very, doing great business in a lot of the world. So interesting thing how they do it and how the entrepreneurs who do these businesses make money. So it seems to be compelling enough in a lot of pretty poor parts of the world to get people to sell and maintain and operate these things. Anyhow, I'll put the link in there. It's B Energy.
B, like the letter B, or BEE?
Parenthesis B parenthesis.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you'll see.
How about the question of emptying out the bag digesters? How often is that done?
Well, it depends about the substrate that you are you are working. For example, if you use a diluted substrate, it can last more or less 10 years. So after 10 years, you have to empty the digester. So you have to use a big pump to remove all this part and make a little wash to remove the solid that can be formed into the digester.
Once every 10 years. That doesn't sound bad, Alex. It's not a weekly.
Yeah, I've never seen pictures. I wonder how it's done. It's pretty fascinating.
Have you done it on this bag digester?
No,
Yet?
no,
Not
no, I
yet.
haven't done.
Yeah. Well, when it's done, video. I'm sure. Alex is coming down. He'll plan his family vacation.
Actually, the companies that sell digesters here in Colombia and in Latin America, they give you a warranty of 10 years of this equipment. So it is linked with the time that you need to empty the digester.
Warranty of 10 years, but after it's emptied, is there another renewal? Is it for the
I don't
initial
think so.
operations? No, nobody knows, right? It's not gone longer than that, right?
Yes.
DVD. Judith, you have a question?
Yeah. What's the coldest temperature they've been run on these digesters?
Well, we have had experience at, well, the most recent digester that we installed is the temperature is around 15 Celsius degrees.
Minus 15.
No, 15.
Oh, that's
15
okay.
degrees, yes, Celsius. So this is the average temperature of the zone. At night, the temperature can get more or less 8 degrees or even 5 degrees. But in the morning, we can reach a constant temperature due to the design of the digester. So generally, the temperature inside the digester, depending on the design, is 2 degrees over the average temperature in the environment. But if you cover it, you can reach even 50 degrees Celsius degrees. So this is an important part that it should be considered, the design of the digester. I mean, the insulation, a greenhouse, for example.
Because I think other Jaime, he installed it in Bolivia. He said at 5,000 meters altitude. That must have been
Yes.
holy, right? Were you part of this also?
Yes, I wasn't there, but he reached higher temperatures that can dissolve, I don't know, the PVC pipes. So temperatures get higher, so it is a factor that we have to have into account, because we want equipment that lasts these 10 years. Yes. But in my case, the minimal temperature that I have worked is 8 degrees Celsius.
I could look it up. What is that Fahrenheit, anybody?
It's chilly but not cold. I don't know.
Yeah, I was expecting you to say minus Celsius.
Jaime had experience in Celsius, yes.
Okay.
It's around
But it is possible due to the design, and we are working on using organic support to improve the content of microorganisms, to improve the mass transfer from the substrate to the microorganisms, and improve the biogas production.
Hmm.
I'm going to drop the title and DOI for I thought one of the more extensive papers on this question of temperature and performance. And what I kind of got out of some of these papers was the thing is going to go to sleep in winter, and then the biology is going to start up again when the temperature goes up. So it's not, there's such an incredible diversity of microbes hanging out in there that, when it's at a certain condition long enough, that microbe is going to just take off. So yeah, it's pretty interesting paper. That's not so much in here, but it does talk about the temperatures and the biogas production. Maybe there's a better paper, but this one was pretty detailed. So I'm just going to drop a name and a DOI in there, name of the paper and the DOI.
Great, thanks.
I'm also wondering if the plastic could break when it gets too cold.
Yeah.
It's possible, yes.
Yeah, on the system that you have, is there a part of it that needs more attention than others? I'm not saying breaking, but needs more, attention that you're seeing, Jaime?
Well, I think we are using a high density geomembrane to produce the digesters, but it is required insulation.
Mm-hmm.
We have to avoid the direct contact of the material with the walls of the fence. So it is something that we have to have into account. But due to the thermal behavior, the inner temperature into the digester can reach temperatures above 0 Celsius degrees, because we have metabolisms into the digester. So we have microorganisms that lives in there. So if the digester is well insulated, the temperature don't go down so much to break the digester.
Is that where the styrofoam walls were that we saw in some of the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were what? 5 inches, 4 inches, 6 inches?
More or less, yes.
Yeah, somewhere there. And is that beneath? Is it surrounded on 3 sides?
Yes.
On the bottom as well. Okay. All right.
I don't know if I have a picture here,
Thank you.
but I want to show you something about the temperature. Actually, we are writing a paper with Jaime. So
Yeah, I
let
think we
me
asked for it and
show-
it wasn't ready yet.
Yes, it's another paper.
Yeah.
Let me look for it. Mm, it's something about the temperature. What Alex was saying. Yes, in winter the temperature go really down, so the energy that the digester produces is not enough to heat the system. So you have to invest energy to elevate the inner temperature of the digester. So you have to decide to send the microorganisms to sleep in the coldest seasons, or invest energy to continue producing the biogas. But if the system gets frozen and you wake up again the microorganisms, you can have cellular death. So it can minimize or increase the time that you have to wake up again the system. So there is a lot of things that we have to have into account if we want to make this dynamic of stop the process in winter, start it again in the hottest seasons.
Were you gonna share something? Did you find it?
Yes, let me look for it.
You've
Dun,
got.
dun, dun, dun. Let me check, sorry. It's here. I got it.
Welcome, Brenda. You joined us when we were in the middle of a conversation.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. We're sort of free form part of our agenda where people are asking questions and sharing research findings, and I'm hoping we'll also share research goals, and then we can help people connect to the information and partners for those goals.
So I'm going to drop a very long link in the chat here, which goes to a greenhouse gas mitigation paper for dairy manure. But I'm also just going to share my screen briefly to show the biogas production from an unheated covered manure lagoon, because it shows you how the biogas production varies and how the biogas content varies. So I'll just put the link in here. If I can share my screen, I'll do that here shortly, but
Okay.
you'll have the
Good.
link here for later. Can I do that sharing thing?
Yeah,
I think I
please.
can. So here, sharing.
Okay.
So here, yeah, here you see, shit, are you still there?
Yep, we can.
Yep.
Oh, I can't see the Zoom anymore.
Yeah,
Can you
your
s-
chiclet is dark, but we see that you started sharing screen. It's not popped up yet.
Oh,
It states affirmatively that you have started sharing, but we don't
Yep.
see anything
oh
besides.
yeah, I got a little whirly twirly here and I can't see the Zoom anymore.
Oh,
So
no.
show you is biogas volume averaged over 3 covered manure storages, biogas volume per month, percent methane, and it's 12 months over 3 sites. Is this working? I guess it's not working, huh?
Yeah,
Not
it's not
yet.
popping up.
Ah, crap. I can't get back to the Zoom for some reason, so
And
I
we
don't
can
know.
hear
Huh.
you. Yeah,
Can
so
you-
audio's
yeah.
perfect.
Can you
Visual
like
not.
unshare me or get me out of this?
Um,
Sorry, I'm gumming up the works here.
oops.
Yeah.
Well, you have the link anyhow. Check it out. Page 10.
Um,
Yeah, my computer's getting all locked up. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna I'm gonna shut up and be quiet and you do what you want to do.
Let's see, Jaime, let's see if you can share, even though it says
Let me
he's
check.
sharing. I'm not seeing.
It said that I
There we
can
go.
notice.
Now we're back to our regular
Okay,
screen.
yes. Okay, let me. Okay.
Ah,
Now, Alex, and we can see you now. That's odd.
okay. Let me,
Okay.
so you're done with me. Good. Okay. Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
We're done with your screen. We're not done with you.
Okay. Oh,
Okay. Do you see my screen?
Not yet. You hit that green button at the bottom, share screen. Thanks, Jane.
Oh. And now?
There
Yes.
we go. Yay.
Well, this is a thermal model that we developed. We established a scenario. Well, I was doing my doctoral internship in Montreal. So this is data from there. I mean the environmental temperature, which is the red line.
is this in Quebec,
So
Montreal, Quebec?
yes.
Hmm.
So this is the energy potential of treating the waste that are generating from the kitchen. This is the substrate in this case is kitchen wastewater. So and we put the scenario is more or less 800 people in this scenario. So we have a really huge digester, and we recommend that we can implement a lagoon due the size of the digester is more or less 10,000 cubic meters to treat 800 cubic meters per day. So this is the energetic yields. We have heat produced and electricity. So in this scenario, in the winter, we have negative energy balance, but we can reach a positive energy balance in the system. And if we add biochar as organic support, we can reach higher yields of energy in this season. So this is the point. If we want to invest energy to treat the waste or send the system to sleep some days to take advantage of the energy and the waste treatment to treat the waste and also produce the energy in this case. So this scenario doesn't have a greenhouse covering the digester. It's just the digester standalone. But in two cases, one is with no biochar and the other case is using biochar. This is the scenario 2. So as we can see, we have a higher production because the biochar can establish the biogas production during the treatment. But in winter is more difficult. So in this part, I think that we have to implement or improve the design of the digester to reach positives to reach a positive energy balance. Well, this is more or less that I wanted to show you.
And you said that was kitchen waste?
No, kitchen wastewater. So is the waste that is produced when you wash your dishes and wash the food. It has a really high humidity percentage and a high percentage of organic soluble organic matter content. I mean the volatile fatty acids content here is higher. It's more or less 200 milligrams per liter in this waste, but it's a liquid waste. It's like a model scenario that we wanted to evaluate, and we wanted to prove the viability of its applications in terms of energy production.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is available in your master's thesis, you said?
Sorry?
That these results are available in your thesis?
Yes, I am writing the paper. I think
Oh.
that yes, we are going to submit it this month.
Excellent.
It's a good document, but well, in this case, we are modeling it. It's a simple model, but we are using some experiment setup that we implemented into laboratory, and we can scale it to this scenario.
You said this was connected 800 homes?
Yes.
And then how?
No. It's a population of 10,000 people, and the production is 800 cubic meters per day of
okay.
kitchen wastewater.
Okay.
Yes, so but something important that I forget to say is that the biogas is used in a CHP engine to produce energy and to produce heat. So therefore we have two currents, the heat and the electrical energy.
And so the thing that what you just said, what is
combined heat and power?
Yes, engine.
Right.
Yes.
What is the power used for? That's what I'm trying to form my thought. Does the power operate the system? Is it like a closed loop system?
Yes, I mean we produce the biogas get into the engine, and according to the engine efficiencies, we have those yields.
Okay.
Yes, but the electrical energy can be used for heating or to normal use. In Canada, the eyes are focusing on the electrification.
Okay.
So therefore, we plant this kind of engine to take advantages of the biogas to produce electricity.
Where are you in Montreal? It's a huge city.
Yes, I was in Concordia University working with Ursula Aker. I don't know if you know her.
I don't, but Alex, you're closer to Montreal than we are. If you have any connections.
I don't know that name, but this is good stuff. And I'm trying to think how we can make these connections for what are some pretty demanding climates. And that's why I'm in this group, is to figure out this kind of stuff. How can this work on a small scale in a simple system where it's not even necessarily about the energy, but it's about handling this waste in, efficient, sanitary, useful way. We all get hung up on the energy and how cool it is, and you can use all this energy, blah, blah, blah. And that's not even the point, but it's maybe part of what makes a project successful. So biochar is something I'm also very interested in. I mentioned pyrolyzing, the company in Connecticut, and it's interesting to see that the biochar changes things here significantly. Again, like, where does the biochar come from, and how much complexity do you want to add? Would it come from pyrolyzing some kind of waste and then you add it here? Or, the way they did it here in Vermont was they pyrolyzed dairy manure solids because they have too much solids. It's crazy, like, because it's a valuable product potentially, but they wanted to see what would happen when you pyrolyzed it and put it in a digester. Anyhow, I'm really interested in this research. So yeah, thanks. As I indicated with my reaction of here, I'll do another one of those crazy reactions. Okay. Love heart. I'm putting a heart here. I love this stuff.
When
Yeah,
do you
something-
expect your this to be published?
The next in January, maybe.
Okay, great. Good
Well,
for you too.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to add something. According with Alex said, it was a really important discussion in the research group because the question was, how can we obtain the biochar? Because it's a really huge system. Yes, but Montreal has a lot of organic wastes. But actually, there is an enterprise that is using the biochar to siderurgy industry to coal to heat the engines. But the advantage of this, and this will be the next step, is to prove that using the biochar here in the system is going to improve the digestate, and this digestate has a higher value, economic value, than selling the biochar alone, and can be used, this digestate with biochar can be used as a really good fertilizer. So we are treating a waste, we are using the biochar, but we are obtaining two main products that are the biogas that we can convert into electricity, and we have the digestate that we can use as fertilizer. So some of proof that we are doing here in Colombia demonstrate that the biochar has positive effects into the digestate to be used as a fertilizer. So we made all the cycle. We treat the waste, produce energy, and use a subproduct as fertilizer. In some cases, I have to say that in some examples that I have analyzed, to the process be rentable, it is necessary to use the digestate as fertilizer. So this is another thing that is very important. Yes. Yes, that's I wanted to say.
Judith, is fertilizer something that is I mean, are the communities in Greenland agricultural?
Not much, but there is some. There are some farms in the south, mostly with sheep, and they are experimenting on growing crops. There are several initiatives in the country to try and make it grow in containers with UV lights, because that's the best they've got right now. There are a few potatoes and a few things grown in the south and a few salads grown in containers, but it's very limited. But it's something that several people are trying, and they keep being new projects coming up. So at least some of it could be used as fertilizer, I'm pretty sure, and it would be one less thing they need to import, and one more resource potentially one day it becomes a thing. Because if they have to bring in a machine to turn it into something perfectly clean and usable, they might as well produce more of it and sell it.
Thanks.
But-
Yeah, no, because something has come up for the Alaska communities is the ones with the more limited sanitation options tend not to be agricultural, and so
Okay. Oh yeah, they would have to be transported for sure. There are no farms or anything in the villages, but 60% of the population of the country lives in the 5 largest cities, and over there they have all sorts of facilities. But obviously those cities have piped already, and so it's going right into the sea so far. Thanks for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Well, I look forward to maybe having some more. Maybe we could have some more. I don't know, subgroups or something on the different items that Alex outlined. I think that might be a good plan going forward.
When I just added waste disposal to the list. A certain. Whether it's 10 years out or whether it's a byproduct that could be used for fertilizer on a more regular basis, right?
Yeah, I get that messaging from the bag digester people. They say, oh, it's all about the value of the digestate, you know, as if it's some miraculous product. But of course, if you're, you know, going into something valuable at the tail end and being able to use that, I would think is got to be part of the, or can be part of the a project making any sense to people.
Well, I don't know what the volume of it would be, but even the digestate bags are going to have probably a shelf life by sitting on a solar and wind farm Repower America meeting once or twice a month. And they're finding that the solar powers and the blades of the wind farm windmills, you know, have a shelf, have a lifespan, and now we're getting to the end of some of those. So what does that look like, and where does that go, and how is it repurposed? And thinking about it, nobody was thinking about that 20 years ago. So what I don't know what we can use these for.
Do we have any partnership with or involvement in the Global Partnership on Nutrient Management, the UN program?
Not yet.
We just had a webinar today.
Oh,
so they're active for sure.
Hook us up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll see if I have no direct involvement, but I'll send you I can send you the link right now. We're here.
Did you participate, Judith?
To some extent. I couldn't follow all of it, but it was presentations from different governments showing what they were doing in their countries and yeah.
Interesting. Great. Link. All right, any other questions for those that we've heard from? Brenda, do you have anything to share? Just get me thinking if you want to come on camera and talk. Thank you, Judith.
Actually, last thing about Greenland, we have been discussing this summer with Simone and some of the ladies from the government to create a Greenlandic WASH research committee. So I'll discuss that with Pernille soon and we'll keep you posted.
Greenlandic WASH, is that what you said?
Yeah, water and sanitation and hygiene.
Okay.
It was an idea that just flew through in one of our meetings, but I'll try to push it and see if we can get that done.
Thanks.
Okay, there's my exciting data on the amount of methane from that paper. So
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry your camera didn't work. It wasn't the Zoom technology today.
I only have 700 windows open in my Internet Explorer.
So my IT people say every time, shut your windows and turn your computer off, then call us. I'm that customer.
Yeah.
All right. Brenda, do you want to say hello or talk about anything that you're involved in?
Good morning. Sorry I got on late.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I had to use my hair dryer to heat up my Honda this morning.
Oh my gosh. How cold is it?
It was 25.
Well,
Oh, 16 degrees.
16 Celsius.
Yeah. And then we're right by the lake, so the cold air goes right to the Honda.
There you go. Well, hopefully you've got mobility now.
Oh, 3 above now, I guess. I'm sorry I got on late. I just heard like part of everything, and then I cut off during half of the webinar, but and it seems like I heard like every other word in the
Wow.
webinar, but it's good to see you guys this morning.
Well, the audio from these meetings are put on the IARPIC website, so if you do want to go back and listen to today or some of the other meetings.
Oh my
those
God,
are
I hope no
available.
one from
Thank
Gates
you.
Foundation listens to me. Oy.
I think you're okay. I was wondering if we could get into the attention of Mackenzie Bezos. You know, she's the one that's handing out all the money around the world right now. It seems to be, I don't know, finding great resources. I want to be on her team that figures out who's doing cool work to give away money. That sounds like the most awesome job ever, right?
That sounds like a super fun thing. Super
Love
fun thing.
Super fun
Super
thing. Go
fun
from super
to-
fun to super fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems like a good project. Find out who do you know, who knows.
Talk about identifying sectors and spending a year or so learning about the sector and then who's doing good work and has good metrics. And like you said, Alex, good management, financial management and organizational management, and has results, right? Connecting people. Yeah. That's what she needs to do next, is identify a sector, give away your money, and then connect everybody. Because we can see the power in connection, right?
Yeah, you must know someone who knows her, right? Seattle's
I
small.
feel like she has to live down the street, right?
Exactly.
Her second ex-husband works down the street, so I literally could walk there as well. But anyways, yep, it would be fun to have those kind of resources to work on these kind of projects and say, here you go. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else? I feel like it's winding down. Thank you for all the links. Thank you for sharing the screen and talking about your cool projects. Judith, best luck to you, and Jaime, getting this paper published in January. That means you're probably working over the holidays.
Let us know.
Don't work after
Everybody take some time to celebrate in your own special way, whether that's doing a lot or doing nothing at all.
Nice to meet you all also.
Yeah,
Thank
nice
you.
to
Nice
meet
to
Yeah.
meet you.
See you in 2024.
2024, hard to believe, crazy. Remember Y2K? We were talking about that the other day. We thought the world was going to end, and here we are, almost a quarter of a century later. Everything, except for some frozen motors. We're doing great. All right, thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.